Welcome everyone to today's Alpha Woman webinar. My name is Leslie Anderchuk and I am the co-founder and CEO of Alpha Woman. Today we have with us Khierstyn Ross, and I'm just going to stop there and tell you that my glasses are broken. I only have one arm, so they're a little lopsided, so please excuse me. I'm just going to tell you a little bit more about Khierstyn and also share with you some information about Alpha Woman before we turn it over to Khierstyn for her presentation. Khierstyn is an e-commerce and crowdfunding expert. She's owned her own consulting company for quite a while, helping clients with digital product launches. As you can see, she's had quite a bit of experience in digital e-commerce and crowdfunding campaigns. And she's raised millions of dollars in revenue on Kickstarter and Indiegogo for her clients. So we're really excited to have her today, as this is really germane to what's happening, of course, with so many businesses having to go digital these days to really shore up their revenue. And I know it's a challenge for a lot of businesses who maybe haven't, put their finger or their toe in the digital marketing world before. So, but before we turn it over to Khierstyn, as I mentioned, just a few slides about Alpha Woman. We are a media, publishing, and events company. Our mission is to help women optimize their lives physically, mentally, professionally, and financially. And we do that through various platforms, starting with our digital publication, alphawomanco.com, as you can see here. We also have a podcast where we interview inspirational alpha women every week. And in fact, we did interview Khierstyn a few episodes ago, so you can listen to an interview with Khierstyn and more about her business and her journey as an entrepreneur on our podcast. And as you know, new to Alpha Woman, because you're sitting here today, we have launched our webinars. And that was very much also a result of our in real life events, of course, being put on the back burner until the COVID situation becomes more stable. And of course, we would love you to become a subscriber if you're not already. Sign up at alphawomanco.com, follow us on all of our social channels, and we're always looking for sponsors that believe in what we're doing, and so please do give us an email at leslie@alphawomanco.com for sponsorship opportunities. So now, Khierstyn, it is going to be time for your presentation. How are you today?
I'm good. Loving the working from home lifestyle now that it's been 7 weeks, I think.
7 weeks, exactly.
Yeah.
So you're hanging in there?
Yeah, like I work from home usually. And then earlier this year, I committed to getting an office. And so I did the office life for about 6 weeks before going back to the work from home.
Oh my.
Yeah. So now that I'm working from home again, I think I had to get back into like the habits of not letting things around the house distract you, like laundry and cleaning and stuff like that. So I've definitely become much better at time management, just to, use the time to actually get to work and then use breaks effectively, or use that like day off on a Saturday to actually like get the cleaning or, the personal stuff done. So yes, I think it's been really, really good. Been enjoying it a little too much, I think. Yeah. So yeah. Well, should I share my screen and then go through presentation?
Sure. Right into it.
Okay, perfect. First thing I want to make sure, because I am very tech challenged, can you see my screen and the presentation?
Yes, we're good.
Amazing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go full screen with this. So guys, because of this, I'm going to have Q&As at the end of the presentation. If there is anything that needs to be said or clarified, Leslie, if you could just like jump in with any of the questions that look like they are relevant for like that slide or whatnot. But if not, I'm going to look to really stay in flow with this and just answer questions at the end of the presentation. So
great. So anyone just add your questions into the chat, and I'll make sure to either, if it's something that needs to be asked right away, I'll make sure to interrupt Khierstyn, or else we'll just ask at the end.
Very cool. So guys, first off, super excited that I'm here with you guys today. Even if you're catching this on the replay, it's always good to learn about different funding options and different options for getting your brand or your product in front of a new new eyes and a new traffic source. So that's exactly what we're going to be covering today, is how I launched a product to $202,000 in sales over a 30-day period using Kickstarter. And if you've never heard of Kickstarter or you're not too familiar with it, don't worry, I will be covering that in this presentation as well. And one of my favorite things about Kickstarter is its ability to help you really launch products globally to an online audience, and then you're able to take the momentum you've built off of your product launch and actually scale that into 6-7-figure online brands. So we'll be covering a few case studies. This is really like the ability for Kickstarter to kickstart, no pun intended, but to kickstart your product and helping you scale it to that 7 figures in the first 12 months and beyond is really what got Kickstarter on the map in terms of being a really popular product launch platform. So the example specifically, I will be showing you various different products and different niches. So the first one that this presentation is really based around is a guitar hardware startup called Jamstack that was, and if you've heard of it, just like, you know, shout out to them in the comments or whatnot, but Jamstack is a product that we launched here in Toronto on Indiegogo, and within 30 days of our campaign, we ended up raising $368,000 US with over 2,147 backers. And Jamstack, if you do play electric guitar, you'll know the pains of trying to play that anywhere. You can't just set up and play wherever you want. You do need to have cords, expensive and heavy amplifiers. And so Chris actually took this hardware product to be an option for electric guitar players to be able to use the Jamstack to play electric guitar anywhere. So it was really a disruptor in the music tech space. And so because of the traction that we got on Indiegogo and crowdfunding, over the first 12 months, we were able to actually scale that into a 7-figure brand. And this is our entrepreneur.com gave us a shout out to really show the story behind how someone with $12,000 in savings was able to turn that into a $1.4 million brand using Kickstarter. So that's really what we're going to be talking about today, is like, how do you actually set yourself up for that kind of success using Kickstarter as an option? If you're thinking, oh, I don't have a hardware product, don't worry. We have applied this model to fabrics and fashion, such as I worked with a company out of Australia, Summerside, to help change plastic bottles into beautiful beach towels. This is one of my absolute favorite projects. So overnight, she was able to create an e-commerce brand with that. We worked with founder.com, again, out of Australia. So if you're not sure what founder.com is, it's an awesome digital publication for entrepreneurs that at the time they wanted to release their first physical coffee table book and then get into e-commerce. And so we worked with them to create that physical coffee table book and actually launch that on Kickstarter. To then 30 days into their campaign, they had raised $200,000 Australian with 1,862 new backers, where they can then take that and manufacture and deliver that coffee table book. We've also done this in other publishing campaigns, such as this is my favorite. The Monk Manual is a 90-day planner. So we were able to work with them to have a campaign generate $72,000 with 1,693 new customers in a short period of time. We were able to turn this around in a 2-month period. And the really cool thing about the Monk Manual is they were so successful. They were more successful than they originally planned. So even after their campaign, they went into back order for 2 months until they could restock and catch up with inventory to keep up with the demand. So super, super cool story there. And one big misconception is that there's only certain brands or certain kinds of products that do well on Kickstarter. The reality is that I've been able to execute these sort of results in multiple niches. So, it's super cool. Really, the power of Kickstarter and being able to launch your product on there comes down to understanding and knowing for sure that someone is going to buy your product. So it truly doesn't matter what kind of product it is, as long as you're selling something directly to a consumer and it is in fact something that will sell, then you are most likely going to be successful on Kickstarter. And we've seen this through launching multiple different kinds of products, not, in the wearable space, we've done the travel space, we've done publishing, we've done cookbooks, we've done hardware products, we've done fashion and fabric. There's just really no end to that. So, and a little bit about me. So Leslie gave me a really great introduction, but to give you more sense of myself, I've been working with product launches, specifically Kickstarter and Indiegogo strategy for the last 4 years. And I've collectively helped raise millions of dollars. And off the back of successful launches, I've created a couple of 7-figure e-commerce brands as well. But on the side, because, life is not about all work, I have 2 crazy dogs, as well as I am currently training for my second Ironman triathlon. And what's funny about the Ironman is that if you guys have never heard of it before, I posted something on Facebook yesterday saying like, oh, my YouTube channel, I'll cover e-commerce and this and some Ironman talk. And someone was like, are you talking about Marvel or are you talking about the triathlon? So I want to make it clear that Ironman is a kind of triathlon that you'll think I'm insane for doing if you look up what that is. But anyway, I'll table that conversation for another day. But that's really, I like to keep active. I like to constantly challenge myself. And that's what I love so much about product launches is there's never a dull moment. Things are constantly different. So, but enough about me. This talk is about you. So if you're sitting here wondering, how do I know this talk is useful for me, or what can I use Kickstarter for? Kickstarter and this talk is really great as a platform if you want to launch a product online, okay? It's also great for anyone currently offline that in like retail, for example, that wants to build another sales channel. So I worked with Sago Mini, which is they sell children's apps and children's toys, and they primarily sold their products through various retail companies across Canada and the US. But Sago Mini wanted to launch their new product on Kickstarter to actually start to increase and get traction for their online store. So that's what they did. They used Kickstarter as a way to introduce their brand to the online market and online space, as opposed to just sticking in retail. So there's one awesome example. Or you also have, like, while typically best suited for physical products, Kickstarter can also be used to launch apps or software as a service products. And really anything that's a product you want to sell that's focused on a consumer market. And if you're not sure of if your product is like right for Kickstarter, happy to chat. I'll be I guess giving my email address at the end of this. So if you have a product, you're like, I think this could be good, but I'm not sure, we can have a conversation. So, so in this presentation, what I'm going to show you, and I do want to make it clear that I'm not, by you watching this presentation, guaranteeing that you're going to get those same results. But what I am saying is that I'm going to show you all the things that we discovered along the way through doing multiple campaigns that were really key to getting the results that I'm showing you in this training. So before we get into the granular how-to, let's get on the same page with why you would even use Kickstarter to begin with versus like Amazon.com or even just launching your own storefront online. So Kickstarter as a platform has been around for the last decade. It has become the Kleenex brand of the industry when it comes to launching products online. And what you're going to see with Kickstarter is the huge advantage it has over launching this on your own website is that Kickstarter is a global community, which means that when you get your product ranking on Kickstarter, when it becomes easy and you start to get traction and go, quote, viral on the platform, your product will be put in front of thousands of people from around the globe that are going to buy your product. So the real value in Kickstarter, because it's a global market where it really will match your product with people from all over the world, it's amazing to get product validation. It's amazing for market insights. So let me just actually, I forgot to mention one thing. So Kickstarter in itself is for new products. So if you have a new product you're bringing to market, that's when you'd consider using Kickstarter. The other differentiator between selling your product on Kickstarter versus Amazon or your storefront is that the Kickstarter model is meant to get pre-orders for your product. So for example, the old way of doing something is that you would have an idea for a product, you would spend some money on a prototype, you would validate that prototype, meaning you would make sure that people want to buy that, and then you may invest thousands of dollars in inventory to then have, say, you'll get 5,000 units from China that are now sitting in your basement, and then you launch your storefront and now you have to sell your product, which is painful, because if you have to invest thousands of dollars in inventory before you even have a customer base, that's a huge risk to your cash flow. It's a huge risk to, like, where's that money coming from? Are you remortgaging your house? Is it your life savings? So that it's a little scary and daunting to do it the old way. So Kickstarter came around as a way to help entrepreneurs mitigate that risk. So when you are doing a Kickstarter campaign for your product, what you're doing is you're putting up a page that has information about your product with a great video. And you then say, hey, world, here's my product. If you help me raise $10,000 over the next 30 days, then I can take that money and go to manufacture my product. So essentially what you're doing is you're flipping it. You're using Kickstarter as a sales channel to help you get pre-orders for your product that will help you get the funding to pay for your inventory, which is really where the big draw to Kickstarter is. Because when you have that, the ability to launch your product and get people paying for your product, that essentially covers the cost of your inventory. That's how you're getting a validated product. That's how you're getting money to cover funding, your inventory costs, which huge mitigate your risk, because then you know for sure that the money that you're taking in is because people actually want your product. This in turn is great for market insights, because when you have hundreds of people, thousands of people coming to your campaign, and your sales page on Kickstarter to look at your product, you're getting questions, you're getting people commenting on their product, you're getting intel from people actually looking at your product and seeing what they love and don't like about it, right? And that's amazing to get that feedback on a global level. But the other great thing is I've worked with companies to launch, for example, an app that they only wanted to do a Kickstarter to prove that the market wanted their product. And they then use those numbers on Kickstarter to then go back to investors and raise additional capital. So that's another great thing about Kickstarter, is that your sales numbers, the number of customers you have, as you've seen from like this campaign, for example, like these are public numbers to show how much demand this product has. Right? So you have Jamstack here, like these are public numbers. Okay. So that's like really, really an attractive model for the right person. And of course, global reach. So I find that if I had to distill the two main reasons why people use Kickstarter, the first one is that because it's amazing for inventory funding, but second, it's a great way for people to market their product in front of a global audience. So it really helps you, even established brands, get more eyeballs in front of their product. So those are the two main reasons why people go to Kickstarter for this. And what Kickstarter has become famous for is its ability to create big brands. Okay, so you may have heard of some of these. Over the last decade of Kickstarter coming in, you've had brands such as Purple, Exploding Kittens, Oculus Rift that was sold to Facebook a few years back. You have Pebble smartwatches that a few years back netted a $20 million Kickstarter campaign in pre-orders, which is very impressive. You also have companies like Best Self Co., which is in the publishing space for journals and self-development type things. And all these companies are multi seven figures, all started off of the back of one Kickstarter campaign. So it's truly awesome to see the sort of lifespan that Kickstarter can give a product. And just to really put the nail in the coffin here with how big Kickstarter is, in the last 6 months, I just pulled up this report this morning from SimilarWeb, where in the last 6 months, Kickstarter.com has had about 25 million visits. And on their Kickstarter stats page over the last decade, they've helped creators raise $4.9 billion with 181,000 successful projects. Okay, super impressive. But the next thing I want to draw your eyes to, because this is going to lead into my first point, are these things called backers. You're going to see like 17 million backers. A backer is someone who pledges a Kickstarter campaign. When you pledge a campaign, it means that you are pre-ordering a product that you see on Kickstarter. Okay. So when we go back to, for example, Jamstack, all the way here, when you look here, you have 2147 backers. So that's the number of customers this campaign generated for Jamstack. Okay. So that's really what backers are in the crowdfunding community. And so when we look at this, they've had 17.7 million total customers pledge campaigns. And of those, you have over a third of those that come back and become what's called a super backer, which is someone who pledges more than 2 Kickstarter campaigns. So this is really the clout and the attraction to Kickstarter, because when you're doing a Kickstarter campaign, you're tapping into this backer community, this global reach that Kickstarter has to show really to show your product to qualified buyers. And that is its weight in gold for the right products and right execution of a strategy. So that's truly the opportunity with Kickstarter. So the next thing I want to get into is, okay, well, how do you actually, sales numbers are awesome, but like, how do you actually do that? So in the last half of the presentation, I'm going to go through the 3 keys that you need to run a successful Kickstarter campaign. First one, and my number one goal with everyone we work with, is that you need to set yourself up to have sales from day one. So day one is the first day you launch your campaign. Day one is the day you launch your product. So how do you actually build it up so that you have sales coming in as soon as you launch your campaign? So first thing I want to get into is the fatal mistake that I see nearly everyone making with their first Kickstarter campaign. So I just showed you a bunch of numbers on Kickstarter, the amount of traffic they have and the amount of returning customers they have. That causes people to make the wrong assumption that, oh, if they already have this big global community, all I have to do is launch my product and I will be successful. That's actually the wrong mistake, and here's why. So Kickstarter and Indiegogo, and I say those two interchangeably because they're the 2 big crowdfunding platforms. So the big mistake in assuming that because Kickstarter and Indiegogo have this massive reach that you just have to jump on and you're going to be a millionaire, the reason why that's wrong is because of this thing called a popularity algorithm. So it's important to know that Kickstarter takes a commission for every dollar you raise on their platform. So they take 5% of every dollar that you raise on your campaign. And what this means is that you're only making money they're making money when you're making money. So because Kickstarter and Indiegogo are a business, they have to make sure that they're helping promote campaigns that are doing well on their platform. And how they help you promote is by giving you more visibility on the website. So when you actually go to Kickstarter, there's a certain way to get into the trending section, to get front page, or to even rank as top of category. So for example, if you have a design product and then you are ranking in the design category, as soon as a backer or someone just like perusing Kickstarter clicks in the design category, you're going to be up there front and center. And that makes your campaign easier to find. And when it's easier to find, you're then able to tap in this massive traffic source of Kickstarter. But if you don't have a project that's doing well, then you are actually invisible on Kickstarter. You are going to be like buried among hundreds of other campaigns. And if this happens, and if you don't prove to Kickstarter that you're a popular project, then what's going to happen is you're going to be impossible to find, and the backer community is not going to find you easily. And that's a great way to actually make your project fail. So the fatal mistake people make is that assuming that you actually don't have to do anything but rock up and launch. If that happens, you're going to fail. So the way to work around this is that you need a way to prove yourself to Kickstarter by kickstarting your Kickstarter. So what I mean by this is, well, let me tell you a story of how I know this firsthand. I get asked a lot how I got into crowdfunding. And like most good things in my life, I fell flat on my face first. So my very first campaign, it was about 4.5 years ago now, I partnered up with someone here in Toronto to launch their weight loss product. And at the time, I literally knew nothing about Kickstarter. I knew nothing about Indiegogo. So of course we made every mistake. And so when we went to launch this campaign, we completely ignored the popularity algorithm. Like, I think we knew about it, but we didn't really pay attention to it, or we didn't think it was that big of a deal. So, famous last words. So the end of that first campaign, we raised 33% of our goal, which in Kickstarter terms, that means we failed. We had a goal of $50,000 and we only raised 16,710. And so what this means is that based on that $50,000 goal, we actually couldn't manufacture the product. So we were stuck with money and a failure and a failed product and nothing we could do about it. And at this time, we had two options after this campaign. We could choose to just kind of write it off as a bad product and move on to something else. Or we could actually look and see, well, maybe it wasn't the product, it was like, what if it was actually the strategy that we used? And so after this campaign, we dug in to really do an assessment of, okay, well, what actually went wrong? And it turned out that the big thing that happened is we completely ignored the popularity algorithm. And we also didn't know how to really get people to our page on that first day. And that's really where that first campaign suffered. So the second approach we did is we actually chose to relaunch that campaign. We decided that, you know what, we've got so much positive feedback on this product, I don't think it's the product. So we ended up re-strategizing, really focused on bringing in a big, strong day one by using the popularity algorithm. And when we did that, we went viral. So we ended up as one of the top 2 campaigns on Indiegogo, raising close to 5,000, or raising 842,000 Canadian with 4,827 customers over a 30-some day period. And so that's truly the difference between paying attention to the algorithm and not making that fatal mistake and doing it properly with the right product. And so I learned firsthand the power of the algorithm and how that first day and getting picked up by it will make or break your campaign. And so the key to not drowning on Kickstarter is to actually have a wait list of excited customers ready to pre-order your product on the first day of your launch. Because when you do that, when that happens, then as soon as your campaign launches, Kickstarter and Indiegogo are going to be like, oh, hey, this is a product that's getting some traction on our site. They're getting sales and people seem to be enjoying this. Okay, we're going to show this to more people. Okay. And that's how you start to get that snowball effect and really tap into that backer community. So then the question is, how do you actually build a wait list of qualified buyers? Okay. So, first thing, I have to pull up something. Very sorry about this. Do I have a live? No, I can't actually show you that. Okay, that's fine. Little tech glitch. So how do you actually build a wait list of buyers? Well, when you know that you're launching your product at some point in the future, you typically want to have a 2 to 3 month period where you are building up a wait list. And what a wait list is an audience of people, or like an email list, ideally, of people who have virtually put up their hand to say, yes, I am interested in pre-ordering your product. And how you do this is, as soon as you decide that you're launching this thing, you're going to have a landing page, which is a 1-page website online where you send people to for more information. And on this website has some product information. It may have an image or a video, and there's a call to action asking people to subscribe for more information and to reserve their early bird discount when you go live on Kickstarter. Okay. So when you have this landing page up, it's a way for you to have a talking point for friends and family when you start talking to people in your market, and even those that you know that you're really looking to get those early supporters for your project. You have a talking point, you have something visual online that they can actually go and subscribe to your wait list. And that's really how you're going to mechanically build up an email list of people. And the next question then becomes, okay, so if I have a website with a product image and some information and a subscribe button that asks people to give their email address to join the waitlist and get notified when I'm live, how do I actually get people to find that page? And this is where there's two ways that you can market yourself and get traffic to your page. So two ways. The first one is organic. Organic is free or very inexpensive methods. And the second is paid. And paid is where you do like Facebook advertising or Instagram advertising to cast your net a little bit wider, to get in front of more people in your market. So in terms of the free and organic ways to do this, you can look to spread the word by finding people to join your waitlist, and ultimately people who are going to buy your product on the first day through your friends and family and your network. You could do it through influencer marketing. So influencer marketing is where you can, if you have product that an influencer can review, you ship them product and then they create a video or images or give you a shout out on social media for your product. So that's one great way to do it. And when I say influencer marketing, I'm talking about anyone, someone on Instagram with the following, someone on YouTube with the following. It could be a blogger, it could be an author, it could be just anyone in your space that serves the same audience as you, but in a non-competitive way. So I'll give you an example. If we're talking about the Monk Manual is in the self-help personal development space. So if I'm the founder of Monk Manual, I may send the Monk Manual to a YouTuber or an Instagram influencer that also serves the self-help audience, so that when they do a review or they give the Monk Manual a shout out, it's in front of an audience that is most likely going to buy my product. Okay, so that's like one example of it. You can also look at press. So press is like getting into TechCrunch, New York Times, Toronto Sun. Clearly I don't pay attention to local news. You can also, and this is one of my favorites, I've had many of the clients we work with be on Dragon's Den or Shark Tank. So if you can look for, when the world's back to normal, look to apply for startup grants or whatnot that require you to pitch your product in front of investors. Because if you win, that's an amazing way not only to get startup capital, but it's also a great way to practice pitching and get your product in front of a captive audience. So that's one really great way to do it. You've posting on social media to give value add content. And really, if you look for different methods of using this, the pros of organic is that it's super inexpensive. You're getting quality leads because typically you have a better relationship with these people, like friends and family, for example. The cons with this method is that you have a smaller reach. So with organic, you're really limited to only those that you can get like a direct introduction to, or those that you currently know, or people that find your content through social media. So the second way is a paid method, where if you have a bit of a budget, I do suggest, even at a minimum, spending like $1,000 to drive traffic to your website, where then you can use Facebook as a way to, or Facebook, Instagram as a way to get market validation and market feedback for key messages, images, and stuff like that. But with paid, you can really spend as much or as little as you want. So paid is using Facebook and Instagram to cast your net wider, to target people in your market that may be interested in your product, and then they'll click through to your website and join your waitlist. The pros of this is that you definitely get in front of more people, so there's more reach, and it's great for market testing, but it's expensive, and you typically get a lower quality of lead, because if you're targeting someone in the US that has never heard of you before or interacted with your content or doesn't follow you on social media, there's no trust. They've never heard of you before. So it takes a bit more to convert that person from having never heard of you before into a paying customer. So there's a bit more nurturing that has to be done for anyone that you bring in on the paid side. But again, that, like everything, that's part of building a business. So I recommend a combination. If you're going to have a really solid marketing plan, I recommend a combination of organic as well as paid. personally, I love organic because it's a high touch point. It's an amazing opportunity to actually connect one-on-one with your market. However, paid is really what's going to get you the volume and numbers. So I do recommend a healthy dose of both of those. And one question and it doesn't matter. So I don't have a following. So what if you have a product and you're looking at all these success stories and you're thinking, well, I don't have a following, so I can't do this. The reality is that most of the launches that I work with started at 0. So they had no following. Of course, there are a handful of brands that I work with, like founder.com had had an audience online. So we had a bit of an advantage with them launching a new product to their existing audience. But most people, such as Taplock, Jamstack, cookbooks, Monk Manual, they all started from nothing and launched their first product on Kickstarter. So there's a very specific product template that I use to launch products online. And it's actually very easy to get results if you know the format, which is why we have such a high success rate for brands starting out with nothing. So that's usually not a factor. And even like Taplock working out of Toronto, like we've still netted multi 6-figure campaigns out of a garage startup with no following to start. Like, I think everyone has to start somewhere. So it doesn't matter if you are an existing brand that wants to tap into a new audience source, or this is literally your first product. It works for both systems, right? Or both scenarios. So what is the second point okay, so we've just talked about the fatal mistake and why you need a wait list. Well, what's the second point? Well, when you go to launch a campaign on Kickstarter, while this is optional, I highly suggest that you create a video that sells your product. Video is going to help you sell much more product and increase the chances of success on Kickstarter drastically. So you need to have a video. And so in this section for key number 2, we're going to talk about how to create a video that actually sells your product and what are some common pitfalls that people have. So the first thing is that this video is typically going to be about, I'm going to speed this up a little bit. So typically this video is going to be about 2 to 3 minutes long. And in the first 15 to 20 seconds is all you have to capture consumer attention span. And people typically don't value that first 15 seconds, and they tend to not get to the point or not introduce the product for 90 seconds into the video, which is just, it's not cool. So you want to use the first 15 to 20 seconds of that video to hook people in, to introduce your product and convey the exact solution and benefit that your product has in someone's life. So you have really 15 to 20 seconds of that video to get someone to buy your product and hook them in. Okay. So that's one thing. The second thing is near the end of your video, you need to have a clear call to action. So someone watching your video, they need to know what to do next. So that call to action, you want to ask them to support your project by selecting a reward package below. A lot of the times when people give a call to action in these videos, they ask the customer to do like 50 different things. You really just need to focus and make it painfully easy, pain-free, and just ask them to do one thing, which is support your project by selecting a reward below the video. Because if you look at a Kickstarter page, the video is going to be at the very top of the page, and then they can select their pricing package on the right-hand column, okay? And of course, Jamstack just had a great video. These are the results we had. And the third point is how to actually get your wait list to convert into sales on that first day. So you want to build demand to get sales from day one. So there's a couple things we do. When you have a wait list of people that have already said a few weeks or months ago that they're interested in buying your product, the next step is making sure that they actually spend money with you on the first day of the campaign. So there's 2 things that I do to make sure that your campaign is successful and gets people buying as soon as possible. The very first thing, and I do suggest you take a screen grab of this, but this is an email you can use to, you send this about a week before the campaign goes live, and you ask people to commit to a certain number of pre-orders. This is so that we can essentially take a look at how many people reply back and see if there's a problem. For example, with this product, we sent this email to a list of about 5,000 people. and we had hundreds of replies back. So that's how we know that this is a product that people are definitely going to buy. But if we send this email to 5,000 people and 2 or 3 people reply, you know there's a big problem, and you can adjust and course correct before you go live. Okay, so this is a great way. This is using something I call micro commitments to get people to make a small commitment prior to actually buying, so that they're more likely to follow through. But you're also using this as engagement strategy to make sure that your list is actually going to convert and help address any problems before they arise on launch day. So the first thing. The second thing you want to do is, because it is so vital that you get that traction on the first day, I like to incentivize our audience by creating a Black Friday effect. So Black Friday effect is where I remember going down to Best Buy in the States. One morning, we left at like 2 in the morning. It was a 1-hour drive. We arrived at like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. Best Buy didn't open until 9, right? But there was a massive lineup strapped around the corner on Black Friday because of their door crasher specials. So Best Buy, being the smart retailer it is, created this massive effect by having these door crasher specials where they offered a few LCD TVs that were $2,000 usually for like $400. And because of the massive savings they promised the first people that came to the door, that made people want to get up and line up and wait. So you want to have that same sort of effect using early bird packages. So you, with your list, are going to make it clear that you have a limited number of rewards available at a steep discount. And so those that are most excited and want to save money are going to jump and act on that first. Okay, so you can see here, early bird package number 1, limited to the first 100 people, save 50% off. So you want to create that sort of effect, a scarcity effect, to help you get that momentum as soon as you open doors. And really, any good launch is going to give their waitlist an incentive to buy on that first day. Okay. And apart from that, that's the end of the presentation. So if you want to talk to me or learn more, I do have a full podcast and YouTube channel on e-commerce and generating buzz with your product launch. So you can go to Khierstyn.com to learn more about that. But apart from that, I'm going to open this up to Q&As.
So Khierstyn,
Yep.
question for you. What if you sell a product that is, really tricky to ship, say, like furniture or something like that, and you really want to just triangulate your geography to, say, one country or a continent? Is that possible on Kickstarter?
It is. Yep. So you can limit what countries you sell to, as well as charge shipping on the Kickstarter campaign.
Oh, good to know. Okay. And then another question that I have is, you talked about the algorithm a lot in the beginning. So manipulating that algorithm, or trying to do, everything to be that company that floats to the top. Is that really about creating that demand, creating that wait list, so that when you launch that campaign, you have people hitting your page and surging your popularity?
Yes, that's exactly it.
Okay, got it. Okay, so those are all the questions that I have, and I don't think that there are any more. But wow, so much amazing information, Khierstyn.
Awesome. Glad you liked it.
That's incredible. So for everybody on the webinar, we are going to be distributing this in video format to all of our members and to everybody on the webinar. So we'll also be putting it across social media, because it's just such valuable information for anybody who is launching in the digital space. So I want to thank you again, Khierstyn, for all of your time today. It's just been really, really enlightening.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. So thank you for having me.
And for anyone who wants to contact Khierstyn, we'll make sure that that those details are also obviously in the presentation. And if you have any confusion, just get in contact with me by direct messaging me. So thank you, everybody, for being on the webinar today, and we'll see you at the next one.
Thanks so much. See you later.
Bye-bye.